Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mike's, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, and our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. I'm Evan Irwin. We get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Aaron Campbell.
Happy Wednesday.
Ruben Bressler.
Hi, how's it going?
Well, no one got banned.
We all agreed on exactly how this show was going to go, so it will go by smoothly.
Super smooth. Well, no one got banned, no one resigned, nothing exploded other than the hype for Modern Horizons that we'll get to in a second. We also get started with our Trumpet Blast. You can get one if you support us at our highest level on Patreon. Let's see here. And we kick that off also with the first pick and giveaway, ! Raffle. Get you in on that. You get 2 entries if you're a subscriber, so give us those Bezos bucks. 2 entries.
That's right.
There's somebody from Chile in the chat. Hola.
Oh, very nice. Well, thanks for hanging out. We certainly appreciate it. That said, Modern Horizons. This set, I don't know where to begin. Honest to God, I don't really know where to begin right now. I think I'll begin in a spot where Rudy from Alpha Investments had noted, which is, if you look at the big sets from the past few years, and the sets that were important, the sets that held value, and the sets that gained value, you could always look at the lands. What is the rare land cycle in those sets? And that is essentially your floor, because you have 5 different rares that you could pull, and if all of them are good, then that's what gives you that value. And Modern Horizons has 5 canopy lands, and they are incredible. And they are going to be worth $30 to $40, like, right out of the gate. So that's where you're at just to start. And so, you know, what I was mentioning earlier was, you know, this is one of those sets, like, that you buy a case of, and you stick it in a closet, and talk to me in 8 years, and go buy something nice for yourself, because it's going to be a whole bunch of money by then. And they're just not going to make more packs. They're going to print to demand, quote unquote. How that works, that's going to work in waves, but like overall it's nuts. Let's go ahead and get to at least a few of the previews. We didn't talk exactly about which ones we want to talk about, but Ruben, if you can kick us off, tell us just one card that you're excited about. No, Aaron has 0 cards, but
Aaron has 0 cards, other than being visited upon and blessed by the good fortune unicorn. There are a number of cards in this set that are very exciting. The one that's most exciting to me, I think, is Planebound Accomplice, which MTG Goldfish had today, which is a 1/3 for 2 colorless and a red. It's a human wizard, and you pay a red, : you may put a Planeswalker card from your hand onto the battlefield, sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. That is a really unique, powerful ability, and as far as I'm aware, already has an infinite combo.
Because of course it does.
Wherein if you have a Cloudstone Curio and a Planebound Accomplice on the battlefield, and you have a Chandra, Torch of Defiance, and any other Planeswalker, you can activate the other Planeswalker an infinite number of times. So you can draw your library with any number of Jaces, you can deal damage with any number of Chandras, etc. It is 2 3-mana permanents, so it's not terribly difficult to disrupt, but if you go Curio on turn 3, Planebound Accomplice turn 4, activate, I mean, that's a Splinter Twin-like combo that requires a lot more pieces, of course. But I think it's a unique and interesting card, at the very least. I mean, and from a flavor perspective, also, the character that's in the background, this 3-headed giant tree folk thing, is still a card we've not yet seen in the set, which was also in some of the key art before the set was even started to be previewed. So there's lots of things to be excited about.
I think my favorite nickname was Sneakadak.
Sneakadak, I like that. That's cute.
Thought that was really clever. That's just,
I like it.
Well, you know, we have a sneak attack like card, and I think that what we're going to see is a lot of this. There's a lot of like cards. It's Mother of Runes, like ish, not quite.
That's the whole idea, I think.
Oh God, I got to bring up this card. I'm not sure exactly what they're trying to call it. It has Avatar is the current name of it.
Oh, that's going to be Scale Up.
Scale Up. Well, Scale Up is 1 green mana for an uncommon sorcery. And until end of turn, target creature you control becomes a worm with base power and toughness 6/4, and you can overload it, which means you cast this spell for its overload cost. If you do, change its text by replacing instances of target with each for 2 green and 4 generic mana. So for crawl worm mana, everything's a crawl worm. For 1 mana, something's a crawl worm, like Infect. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Card is just like bananas. I mean,
it enables a turn 2 kill and infect, which is super interesting and fun and interactive, of course. Yeah, I mean, it's that is a surprising card to see in the set. Anything that pumps for that much or gives that much protection is a heck of a thing.
Any pump spell, and in fact, I mean, Tom Ross was on the dev team, and I think we can definitely see why.
Well, yeah, I mean, 1 card does not an archetype make. I do think that this will be a card that sees play. It is sorcery speed, and so it's not. I mean, it is quite good. Time will tell if it's broken, but I think that giving Infect 1 tool while giving all of the other archetypes so many other fun things to play with is fine.
Oh, no, it's terrific. And I think ultimately, and we've spoken about this a few times in terms of what is Modern Horizons doing? It's helping fringe decks get better, and it might give a tool or two to the good decks that, are sort of looking for stuff, obviously. But, Goblins needs help. Goblins needs lots of cards if you want to make that deck good. Slivers, as we saw today. Whoo boy.
Right.
There is a card called the First Sliver. It is on the screen right now. It's all 5 colors of mana for a 7/7 Mythic Legendary Sliver with Cascade. When you cast the spell, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card that costs less. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. Put the exile cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. And then it says, one unbelievable line of text, Sliver spells you cast have Cascade.
Yeah.
This includes changeling spells. This includes all the slivers they're going to print. This includes the fact that you cast the cards off the Cascade. So if you Cascade into another sliver, that sliver also has Cascade. And on down the chain you shall go. How far you get to Magical Christmas Land, I don't know.
Just like Bituminous Blast into Blightning, or Bloodbraid Elf into Blightning. You can do the same thing here. I think that someone needs to call Frank Karsten to hashtag done the math to see what the best build of an Elder Dragon Highlander setup with casting costs needs to be in order to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then like a Mox Amber maybe in your Elder Dragon Slivers deck to be able to get it all.
User Spin-12 does note, and you are correct as I understand it, the first sliver has to be in play. So when you cast it, you won't be able to do the Magical Christmas Land. But once it's in play, and slivers have... Because if it's on the stack, and you cascade into something, it's still on the stack, and it hasn't yet. You know what I'm saying? Okay,
all right, that makes it less broken.
Yeah, it is less broken now. Thank you for what it's worth. I was very concerned.
Yeah.
Like turn 5 or,
cool.
whenever...
Cool.
Yeah, so that's cool. But either way, sliver stuff has exploded. There's a bunch of really cool slivers in the set, which is great, but it's really... The highlight is the new Sliver Queen, essentially, which is the first sliver.
At the risk of previewing a potential red zone for next week, hey, Aaron, what's your favorite card in the set?
I do like the black sliver. I think the one that gives slivers unearth is really
cool.
That's great. Crypt Rats reprint. That's really cool.
Right?
That's nice. There's a lot of nice commander cards in this set.
There's some amazing commander cards in this set.
This modern supplemental product.
Yeah. I was gonna say this seems much more a legacy and commander product. It feels a lot like Battle Bond, much more than anything having to do with modern.
We are in day 3 of previews.
So far, it feels that way, though.
So far, I will give it to you. I would just say, I think there's a long road to go. With as much power as we've seen so far, Wizards is cranking this thing. And I think, again, this is classic Wizards. When they do something for the first time, they do it too much. They go too far. And I think you're going to see this here, where we're not always going to get sneak attack for Planeswalkers or whatever, and these crazy mythics, that just go bananas, because... again, this is the first time they want to do it, and they don't want to screw it up, and I get that, which is cool. I think you got to talk about Urza Lord High Artificer. is just insane. That card's like $60. It went from like
Yeah.
15, 17, 60.
I feel like that is a bit much. I mean, I think it's a great card. I don't think it's going to break anything. Do you?
I don't know. All I'm saying is Urza Lord High Artificer, it's 2 blue, it's 2 generic mana. I'll put it on the screen now. It's incredible. You've probably heard of it if you love Magic like we do. It's 2 blue, 2 generic mana for a 1/4 Mythic Legendary Human Artificer. When Urza Lord High Artificer enters the battlefield, you create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token with, quote, this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. So it makes a construct.
Makes a construct, yeah.
You tap an untapped artifact you control, add blue, which means you can tap that thing you just made for blue mana, which makes Urza effectively 3 mana, just like Teferi is effectively 3 mana.
Okay.
And 5 mana, you get a Temporal Aperture or a Mind's Desire for 1, if you'd like to think of it that way. Shuffle your library, exile the top card until end of turn. You may play that card without paying its mana cost. The fact that it doesn't tap, it is just whenever you want to do it is a thing. It is giving all these artifacts to create mana, whether it's artifact creatures and they're summoning sick, it doesn't matter. And I don't know, you put all of those weird abilities on a card, at the very least, it's going to be amazing in Commander.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Is it going to be $60 good? I mean, it's 2 colorless, 2 blue. Is it better than Jace? Like, I don't know. I'm not sold.
I'm not saying it's going to run over Modern. I'm saying that you have a host of abilities that are very powerful.
Sure. Absolutely.
And you got a
and
format.
You got a mana sink is another big important thing.
Right. So, but I can certainly see, Ruben, how do you feel about Squirrel Nest?
So Squirrel Nest is interesting. Justice for Earthcraft, which we did not get. But we do now have Squirrel Nest in Modern, which is interesting. They brought squirrels back. There's a new Deranged Hermit as well that have more squirrels. Right. This enables Arbor Elf Intruder Alarm Squirrel Nest in Modern if you really want to go deep and make infinite squirrels. So that does exist. I think Squirrel Nest is a perfectly fine card to reprint. It did win a Pro Tour as well, which was a part of that Blue-Green Madness deck that Ken Ho won the Pro Tour with. So yeah, I think that's a fine reprint. I'm not super excited. I just like seeing squirrels back in Modern and competitive play.
It's a little kitschy to refer to old cards depending on how you do it. Ranger Captain of Eos was unveiled today.
Right.
And this card is bananas. It's 2 white and a generic mana for a 3/3 Mythic Human Soldier. Note it's a human.
Sure.
When Ranger Captain of Eos enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost 1 or less, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Sacrifice it. Sacrifice Ranger Captain of Eos, your opponents can't cast non-creature spells this turn. An Orm's Chant on a stick.
Yeah.
Y'all didn't necessarily get to play with Orm's Chant. Let me tell you, when you can vial this thing in on their upkeep and be like, boop, it must be nice. Or when your Storm player, gets all the way and they're about to buy back all of their sorcery spells, you go, okay, Aether Vial in, boop, we're done here? Okay, thanks, I appreciate that. Like, this card is going to be a wrecking ball to a lot of decks.
I think that this card is good and will probably see play in Modern. I'm not sure that it's going to break anything. It's a 3 CMC human.
It's just good.
It's not going to replace Mantis Rider. It's good, and it's always going to draw a card. It's always going to go get you your Noble Hierarch or whatever.
Right.
But the second ability to be, oh, that's a Miracle Terminus, nice try, or whatever, is super interesting and super good. But yeah, this one is being a human they left this one a human. There are some other creatures in this set that are notably not human, for very specific reasons. And this one they left for the toolbox, which I thought was a little bit interesting. But yeah, it's a little bit, it's a cool card.
I mean, you can't talk about the previews without talking about Giver of Runes. Mm-hmm. Giver of Runes is 1 white mana for a 1/2 rare core cleric, not a human. Thank you. It has tap, another target creature you control gains protection from colorless or from the color of your choice until end of turn. And also has a note about family there in the flavor text. And cannot target herself. And that was the big change from Mother of Runes to this card. This has an extra toughness.
We also gave her an extra toughness for some reason.
Yeah, stands in front of Young Pyromancer tokens. My favorite thing about this card, other than the fact that it is a great callback, is the story about the art that Seb McKinnon wrote about on Twitter, that this is a dedication to a sister from another mother of his. I just thought that it was unique and different art that we don't typically see from Seb in this style.
Yeah, it is really neat. And, of course, Seb being Seb, I think it's great. Did a terrific job. But this card, Death and Taxes in Modern, is now a thing because this exists.
Also, colorless protection is relevant. Can stand in front. A creature you have can stand in front of a Thought-Knot Seer. Protects it from GT counters in Legacy. There are some interesting applications with that, in addition to the fact that, of course, it protects from the various colors.
Now, before we move on, the one last thing I wanted to note here. Now, clearly, we're going like big, crazy, huge swings or whatever. I just want to note.
I haven't seen any yet.
Oh my God, Aaron, can we just like all the pie
got a red
bets?
zone.
Can we all the pie bets?
I gotta be completely honest here. I think if you look at Modern Horizons through the lens of a commander set, I think the set is very good. I think if you look at Modern Horizons through a supplemental product that is supposed to support Modern and is supposed to celebrate Modern, I think it fails a little bit. There are several cards I've seen that just baffle me. There are certain choices I see that just baffle me. I don't know who this set is for. I wonder what Wizards thinks Modern is, who they think Modern players are. There's a lot of really great commander cards here, but as a Modern product, I don't get it. And I'm not alone. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I'm not seeing it. Granted, there's a lot of commander cards I'm really excited about, and that's great, but I understand that there are cards that are not for the tier 1 decks, and I'm not saying that there have to be, but even the cards that are coming out, they're supposed to support these other decks. I don't see where they're supposed to fit. I don't get it. And
you're doing classic Magic player prejudge. Remember when Kaya was a piece of crap and was the worst Planeswalker ever, and I can't believe they printed this garbage, and then it turned out to be one of the best Planeswalkers that they printed in a while, and it was incredible. We're day three. We're day 3.
I think that there's some truth there. I want to parse what the argument there is, because you're right. You're not the only person. I happen to think that that's a bunk argument, but I'm willing to be wrong, because the announcement article from Blake Rasmussen that came out in February says, what if the Whispers went? What if they made a set that skipped standard and went straight to Modern? Think of the things they could print. And then goes on to talk about how this is the first set designed to skip standard legality and aim for Modern. So a lot of the cards I'm most excited for are Legacy specific, Commander specific, Vintage specific. Nothing really that excites me and really changes things in Modern and is aimed for Modern so far.
Look,
I think
but you call the set Modern Horizons, and one of your major selling points is that these cards are legal in Modern. It kind of reminds me how when Arena first came out and people were like, I'm playing Standard on Arena, and it's like, just because the cards are legal in Standard does not mean what you're playing is Standard. If you go to an SCG Open, if you go to a Grand Prix, or you go to Magic Online, that is a very different Standard than the Standard that you find on Arena, where you're having to get wild cards and make your cards, and the decks are not always as finely tuned as they should be. And I feel like we're kind of falling into that old chestnut of, well, these cards are legal in Modern. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they're for the Modern metagame as we know Modern. I just find so many of these decisions to be so baffling. There's a snow theme for some reason. There's a weird 5-color theme. I don't get it.
The 5-color is the slivers. Look, for again, the canopy lands. The canopy lands. Even you as a dredge player know that that's awesome.
The 5 canopy lands are going to see a lot of Modern play, obviously. Those are going to be huge.
I just don't see it.
Those cards are sweet. And I'll give you this. Okay? For what it's worth, I think it was a mistake to come out of the gates with Moraphon the Boundless as Mark Rosewater's big reveal as the first card, the first mythic you're going to see from the set. That is clearly a casual card, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But that was a casual card. So, like,
Right.
maybe you could have trotted out the new Mother Runes or the new Sneak Attack or the new Canopy Lands as, like, the first thing that we see. Because then it would have been...
We got Force of Negation very early.
On the Sunday.
Which is very clearly aimed at competitive play.
Right.
And, you know, I think that it also hints, as was, I think that you referenced this, hints towards an unbanning of Splinter Twin at some point.
Maybe.
There's a lot of cards in this set that are that are directly good against Splinter Twin, and so I think that would be a cool announcement to come along with the set, but it did not happen in the banned and restricted announcement.
I really think they'll unban Splinter Twin.
I think that it's not the most broken blue-red combo deck that's possible in the format.
Here's what I would say, and I'm just going to do a cold shot right now. They're going to make a fixed Stoneforge in this set. It's either going to be a Stoneforge Mystic that just tutors, or it's going to be a Stoneforge Mystic that just puts equipment on the battlefield. But they don't want to give you both. Just calling it right now.
Interesting. Okay.
That's a thing.
Sure.
Anyway, we got to move on. We got more topics. Let's go here and to gather the townsfolk. Oh my goodness. There was a MOCS this weekend. Did you watch it? Did you?
I did, and I found I found the commentary to be a little sluggish.
Wanting, if you will, a tad smidge. Well, that said, unfortunately, Numoth the Nummy, Kenji Igashira, came up just short in second place. But at Somo Neto, that's Mattia Oneto, if I read that correctly, he won the whole event, which is amazing.
I will say Reed with a beard, though, was worth the price of admission. Like, I am completely here for his Chris Evans phase.
Yeah, and it was also remote commentary, which it does affect. It does affect the commentary. I mean, for what it's worth, it affects the podcast that we make. We had to get used to it. It took many episodes for us to figure out a flow of
absolutely
what you would describe as the handoff.
Like, and we're still not great at it, mind you.
I mean, still,
like that moment that just happened is exactly what we're talking about, and it's worse for commentary because the events are happening in real time. We can pause and reset, and we can sort of have our look across the intersection of like, are you gonna go? Are you gonna like pump the brakes and keep going? And that classic stepping on, and then we're all there for 30 seconds waiting for whoever's next to talk. It's not great.
It's tough.
And it's a problem for all esports. It's a problem for streamed role-playing games. It's a problem for ESPN. It's a problem for sportscasters in general too. And so that of course was less than ideal. I did not tune in this weekend, despite the fact that we had been arguing in favor of a MOCS. I'm just not the MOCS audience. Like, I never watched the MOCS.
Well, I wanted a MOCS just for them to like fulfill the promise of doing one. Right. Like, for a while, it was like, are they just going to forget about it or something?
Right. So. The fact that it happened is nice, and that is
the hoodies were nice. They gave everybody these really nice hoodies. Those were cool.
That's cool. But ultimately, Aaron, you felt like it was.
It lacked a lot of the punch, a lot of the excitement. When you're watching a GP, you have Riley kind of firing on all cylinders, and you have, like you said, kind of the in-person camaraderie that's really in your face and the fireworks. And it just felt like you were almost like in a library. Like, it was just sort of like, or like the sloth from Zootopia. It was like, so we're going to play this card. And I was just like, oh, okay. Like, I needed to pick me up.
There's that default Aaron Campbell impression. Just always incredible. Move on here to MTG Arena. The state of the beta, May 2019, showed up. I'll put the link in the chat. I'll bring it up here for you guys to review. Essentially, this is what's going to happen with the update in May, for the big update for the client. And they are introducing War of the Spark Chronicles. And this is a single-player...
Those are cool.
Those are really cool. Essentially, it's a single-player experience that highlights one of the pivotal moments in War of the Spark. It's going to be happening over a series of weeks, and you can get the stained glass Planeswalker card styles.
Nice. Through
this, and they look amazing. They didn't make one for Tezzeret, therefore the buy box Tezzeret won't have one, but you can earn all 36 of the others, which would be incredible. Sure. And one of the things that's interesting is that in most events for Arena, or more or less all that you have to pay your entry for, they keep track of your wins and losses, and with these events you just keep playing. You'll earn rewards based on your total number of wins. Doesn't matter how many games you play in order to get there, which I think is fan-freaking-tastic. No entry fee for these, which is terrific.
Great.
So it'll be updated on May 23rd. That's tomorrow when, quote, Ravnica goes to war, where we get to play as Momir, apparently. But that's just sweet. That's just a cool way to play.
Wait a minute. Okay, Ravnica goes to war. What does that have to do with Momir? Momir's dead.
Well, it's talking about the format that you're playing as part of the thing. They're trying here, okay? Let's encourage this, all right? This is good. They did a good thing. But anyway, that's going to start as of tomorrow. Get yourself in there, play some games. Don't worry about losing. I think that's great.
Okay.
The Mythic Championship Qualifier Weekend is happening for the top 1,000 Mythic ranked players in either limited or constructed during Season 1 or Season 2. This is going to happen. If you don't see that badge on your profile that's on the screen right now, then you need to go fix that and talk to their customer support right now, because in just a few days, there'll be a special in-game event for 1 day of play. You get essentially from 9 a.m. Eastern Standard, and you have to finish by 4 a.m. the next day Eastern Standard, depending on how you want to do that.
Nice.
You play until, let's see, this is the one you play until like, I'm sorry, what?
Your heart stops.
Yeah, you play until you can't. But this is where you play, I think it's until like you get 8 losses or you get 8 wins or 3 losses, whichever comes first, something like that. Either way, there's now going to be a match clock. Hey, they solved the Nexus of Fate problem.
In best of 3, yes.
In best of 3, you will have...
Which is where they need...
Right, which is essentially one of the biggest issues. Each player will have 30 minutes on their respective match clock that will count down whenever that player has priority. Total of 60 minutes match total, which is essentially they want to provide the authentic digital Magic experience, but we're adding using the best of 3 for our in-game competitive event. They wanted to add a match clock. It's one of the things that we needed if we wanted to continue to provide the authentic experience, so on and so forth. Basically, so they can't troll the living crap out of you, and they can't just rope you to death, and they can't just Teferi you to death.
Right.
You won't have these 2-hour-long slogs that people have to sit through and become this giant point that we have to talk about. So that's a terrific thing, and I hope that goes really well. And maybe, Aaron, that'll make you like Arena better, because it's very MTGO-ish, if you will, to have that. There's a basic land filter coming up, so you can now easily choose the basic lands you want in your deck.
That's my favorite part, actually.
Really cool. Right, you could do it, I think, now, but it was more difficult.
You had to jump through hoops to either paste it in, like you had to write the list down with the code of the art you wanted and then paste it into the deck list file thing, or do some weird histrionics and some weird search button machinations to figure it out. Now there's actually just a button that lets you select, I want to look at all the basic lands, I want to choose my basic lands, which is a lot easier.
Yeah, that's going to be great. So all of those are good, wonderful changes, and I'm excited to hear them.
Yeah.
All right. So the qualifying for the Arena Mythic Championship, I just went over for a second ago. But one of the things they mentioned, well, they didn't mention, I guess, was that an editor's note had been added to watching and qualifying for the first ever Mythic Championship on Arena, because they added 16 slots. And they weren't super clear about how that was going to affect everyone in the event. And good friend of the show, Mishra's Photoshop, showed up and said, hey, because... previously, it was going to be only 52 total players. The results is the average prize decrease of $3,400 per player.
Well, yeah, I mean, the average is going to be a lot higher, but let's look at second place specifically.
Second place went from 80 grand to 50. Third went from 60 to 40. Fourth went from 40 to 20. Like, gigantic chops in value, because you wanted to add some people. Do you see, Wizards? Do you understand, if you're listening out there, how it looks like you're kind of just doing whatever you feel like doing whenever you feel like doing it? That you just have to go update this article and just add a bunch of people and take a bunch of money away, and suddenly we're dispersing to 60 more people because reasons. Right. We still don't know what the MPL is. We still don't know how to qualify for it. You know, we'd hope that between, our show, lots of very prominent pros, very prominent community members, and we'll get to some of those, saying, look, what the hell is going on? For real.
Well, that would imply that there are community managers who are watching this content and who are listening.
I don't know. I rattle the chains as best I can.
68 is such a strange number too. I mean, I get that is also the number of teams that are in the NCAA men's and women's basketball tournaments. And then there are 4 play-in games there. Why not just make it 64? I don't know why we have to make it 68. We have an extra round of competition here. That's strange, and I want that to be explained to someone. But yes, I mean, $750,000 divided by 68 is not as good as $750,000 divided by 52. So this is strange and somewhat unfortunate. I mean, cool that more people get an opportunity. Cool that more people will get the $7,500 minimum. But yeah, I mean, it's just other than just an editor's note, I need something else. I need some more details.
I mean, they are in short supply, let me tell you. But hopefully they are listening out there.
Right now, is this a breach of contract now? Because didn't everybody sign contracts? Like I don't know what the terms of the contracts were, but this seems like
I assure you the terms were probably
signed up for.
Well, the terms are, and this is how Jerry described it, was take it or leave it, which basically said the ball is totally in their court.
We'll talk about that later for sure.
They can change whatever they want, so on and so forth. Ruben, you tell us a little bit about these MCQ prizes and how they have changed over to some have given airfare.
Yeah, so there was some consternation, of course, that we've talked about in recent weeks about some of the MCQ folks who had won Mythic Championship qualifiers going to future Mythic Championships or not, based on how expensive they were to go to. And we talked about a couple of the GoFundMes, for example, that had started up, and some of our more well-to-do members of the community allowing those who of the less well-to-do, the more have-nots at the present time, fronting the $500 minimum payment or award to be able to allow some of the folks to go to these events. Well, there's another addition here. We have Amazing Discoveries, which is a store that hosts MCQs, and seems that they have added airfare to their MCQ prizes to make sure that whoever wins their championship qualifier is able to actually go. What a novel concept. Since Wizards of the Coast couldn't be helped to add additional slots with an increase in the prize pool, of course they aren't going to add airfare either. But at least great friendly local game stores, support your friendly local game store, stepped up. Amazing Discoveries being the notable one here.
So this was kind of bittersweet. Do you know what this reminds me of? Go with me on this. You know when you see those viral stories where they're town bands together to buy mother of 16 a new leg. Yeah. And it's like, or she could just get a new leg. Like, you do realize the system's broken. Like, little girl sells vats of lemonade to pay for dad's kidney. And it's like, you shouldn't have to do that. Like,
high school class buys new wheelchair.
Right. I mean, I get it. I mean, obviously, I'm all about camaraderie, community, stores. I get it. It was beautiful. I watched the video and I cried too. Like, I cried every minute. I watched it a couple times. I get it. But we wouldn't have to create these moments. These moments wouldn't exist if the system wasn't fundamentally broken. And so I had really mixed feelings. It was multiple stores. There were at least 2 or 3 stores in the US, and I think there was one in Japan that was even doing this too. And it's like, we wouldn't have to do this if they just did the right thing and gave these people the opportunity to get there and earn that money.
So I want to back up just a little bit. This was in Desperate Ravings, but I think it pertains better here, which is good friend of the show, Ian Dixon, kind of noted that when they said, mark your calendars, the 3rd Mythic Championship is coming June 21st through 23rd. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the exact same weekend as the Modern Horizons Limited Grand Prix events at Magic Fest Seattle, the $80,000 event, the double Modern Horizons, and the panels and the coverage and the thing. Wait, don't look at that coverage. Look at this other coverage. Whatever panels it's got, it ain't going to be the official coverage because the official coverage is going to be over here covering Arena. So, wow.
Jinkies.
Yeah, you're. I'm gonna put a link here in the chat. And look, I understand. There's only so many weekends, in a year. There's just so many, and there's only so many you can use, and you're gonna run into something. But wow, sometimes again, it just looks like who's steering this ship, because you're kind of freaking me out when you take this. The GP weekends. The Magic Fest weekend starts on Thursday, right? That's a big deal. This is the one.
Month.
Yeah, this is the one you want to go to. People had already bought plane tickets, ready to go, and now you have to do this weird double queue thing where you try to play a match of Arena between playing your matches at the GP, which is insane.
I think Alex Magilton had made a post about that, where he made a tweet thread about how he asked for permission to can he play Arena in between rounds of his MCQ or something.
Right.
Right. The lengths they go to are just wild.
All right, and for what it's worth, if you want to do that, talk to the head judge first. Don't just randomly start playing Arena and then
go check out his Twitter account, because he did specify, or he shared what the judge told him, and it was pretty. It can be done, but you have to be very, very careful.
Right, just don't screw it up. It's just again, the fact that they have to do that's kind of the issue, is what we're talking about. So that's unfortunately going to happen with the Mythic Championship getting all the love, and Seattle's not going to get probably the attention it could have gotten.
So strange. What a weird thing.
This is what it feels like, I think, when the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing.
Oh, it certainly seems like Channel Fireball events and Wizards of the Coast aren't communicating very well.
No.
Or they're not communicating very well with the digital team, for example, maybe the Arena team, because this is paper, right? And paper and digital are not necessarily covered by the same people. I mean, obviously they have to interact, but certainly in terms of organized play, and we'll get to disorganized play here in a little bit. Either way, Aaron, I know you're very excited as the Eternal Weekend was announced.
Yeah, so one of the few tournaments that I always find the time to go to is Eternal Weekend, which is happening in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, October 31st through November 3rd. It is I think the biggest sanctioned vintage tournament in the country. It's a pretty big deal, especially considering that EU Eternal Weekend I don't think happened this year, which was devastating. And so this is a really, really big deal. I'm really, really excited about this one. I'm going to try my best to make it. Mama's running low on vacation time, so it's going to take a miracle. But this came out. People were really excited about it, but there was some controversy because it's Halloween weekend, and specifically when it comes to older formats, the audience tends to skew a lot older. We have a lot of dads, a lot of fathers, a lot of husbands. It's a lot easier for a 20-year-old grinder to skip Mother's Day or to skip Memorial Day or skip Halloween. But there are a lot of dads out there that are like, I gotta be trick-or-treating. I can't do this. And so, there was some controversy as to why this particular weekend. I feel like this event more than any other could see a decline in attendance because these guys and these girls can't make it because, a lot of the people who play vintage are family folks. And so I'm anxious to see if it's going to affect anything. But I have to say it's definitely one of the better run events I've been to. The VIP is one of the rare events where it's worth it. I've always had a really good time there. It's very well run. There's a lot of space. If you can make it, come hang out. It's a really, really good time. And there are things that aren't even Legacy and Vintage you can do. They do have Commander pods. They do have drafts. And so even if you can't, play or afford the older formats, let's be honest, there are still fun things for you to do. And I'd love to see you there.
Yeah, it's really great. It's going to be happening October 31st through November 3rd in 2019. I'll go ahead and bring up the page here for you. I do think that I could imagine maybe the space was pretty cheap because it was on Halloween. Who knows? But that creates a problem where, again, you have to choose whether you hang out with your friends or you go to the Halloween parties or whatever, or you do whatever Halloween thing's happening in your city or your town.
To be fair, I think that running... Sorry, we just did the thing again. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it stings because I think people are still reeling from Niagara Falls, which happened on Easter, where, you had legacy folks, again, dads and husbands that, couldn't get away for Easter. And now it's, okay, so here's Easter. That's fine. I'll just go to EW. Oh, wait, now EW's on a holiday too. When are these guys supposed to get away?
Right.
I mean, there's only 52 weekends a year. Yeah. So obviously we have to put a Pro Tour and a Grand Prix on the same I mean, Halloween, I love Halloween, but, it is a holiday that adults some that don't celebrate a lot.
But don't even think of it that way. Like the people who have Legacy Vintage decks, a lot of them are parents And
Sure.
when your
That's
child is going to,
That's fair. That's a good point.
like when your kid's going to dress up and you're not going to be there, that's actually kind of a big dad thing. So
Sure.
you don't want to mess that up either. So this is not the best choice, is the way
I mean,
I
you got to
put it.
pick and choose which weekends. You know, if we're not going to do Memorial Day, and we're not going to do Labor Day, and we're not going to do Independence Day, and we're not going to do Halloween, and we're not going to do Easter, and we're not going to do Mother's Day, and we're not going to do Columbus Day, and we're not going to do National Secretary's Day, and we're not going to do Siblings Day, then what weekends do we have left? So you gotta pick and choose, especially when you're a card titan, and you gotta avoid Channel Fireball and Wizards of the Coast. So I think I've always liked Magic tournaments on Halloween.
Yeah, I've talked about obviously being friends with Tappy and Olivia. I'm always teasing the idea of possibly finally doing a cosplay, and so I'm going to be going to Vegas this year. And I was like, I should cosplay for Vegas, and then this announcement came out. And I was like, I'll save it for a tournament.
I was just hoping. I'm hoping for Good Fortune Unicorn.
People keep saying, Ruben. People keep saying. I have had multiple listeners come up to me, and they say that if you and I are going to do Vegas, we got to do Geese and Giraffe.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's easy for you.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult for me. I mean,
You already look like you're crazy, right?
Yeah.
Already looking like death, feeling like death. This is great. This is a fantastic fit. Who knew?
that would be great.
All right. So, friend of the show, MTG Young Mage.
This baby.
His dad posted this video that kind of freaked us out a little bit at first.
Yeah, clickbaited us a little bit.
Called it The End, and it's a video about dismantling the studio.
It's just Papa Mage just silently disabling the studio, and then he looks at the camera and he goes, "Well, that's the end." And it's like, "What's the end? Like, he's had health problems. Like, you can't do this to us."
Right.
Jeez, that got a little crazy. I'm just
And then
saying.
he replied to like a random YouTube comment. It was like, "Oh yeah, we're just going on a road trip," and it's like, "What?"
Right. It was. If it was a joke, it was both funny and well executed, and I think we all know that it was a joke.
Yeah,
but
Dana's Twitter account disappeared. We don't know where she is, and then to
Right.
have him do this video, it's like, who's taking the Magic kids away?
All the Magic kids have gotten stolen.
I don't know.
they're getting abducted by all of the night hags. Yeah, exactly.
Well, we found out the plot of the Magic movie.
Ugh.
Get the Magic kids back.
Ooh, that's a dark Magic movie.
That's
Yeah,
a
that
good one.
was a good troll from the Young Mage.
Yes.
Um,
He's okay. I think he's in the chat too.
Nice. Well, that's
So
good.
If you're here, young man, we care about you. We want to make sure you're okay and
If
safe.
you're here, first of all, how dare you? Second of all, put your seatbelt on because he's going on a road trip with his dad. So that's
Yeah.
super cool.
Very nice. All right. So, if you check out the YouTube channel Openboosters, he had a chance to open more beta packs, and in the one I linked to you right here, he gets the big O, the big beta Lotus itself. Go ahead and check that thing getting ripped out of a pack. It happens around the 8:45 minute mark or so. But yeah, it's incredible just to see that happen. And it's even more incredible to be at that level to where you're opening beta product and they're like, oh man, the Lotus is at the bottom of the box. Oh, it got scuffled and the grading's not going to be perfect. And it's like, dude, you just
I remember the
opened.
first time I even held a Black Lotus. It was last year at Eternal Weekend. A friend of mine loaned me one, which was, I needed a couple cards for Eternal Weekend last year, and the Lotus happened to be one of them. And I thought the Lotus would be the hardest one to get. It was actually the first card I got. And so I remember he sent it to me, and it was so clandestine. He sent it to me in like a steno pad, and like the second to last page, he converted it into like a folder somehow. And it was in the case, and it was in there. And I remember when I peeled everything off very carefully, I literally just held it, and I just stood there, and I was like,
I do love his reaction in this video.
Oh, his reaction is
yeah, there's
amazing.
nothing like it.
Yeah.
That's terrific. All right, so let's move on here to Desperate Ravings. There was a ban and restricted announcement.
Pauper, you guys. Kendra, Pauper.
So much Pauper. Pauper's happening. We held it back. Well, I held it back because
You held it back.
because I'm Evan's the worst. Okay. As of Monday, for no other formats were affected. Nothing changed. Justice for Ferocidon, please. But as of May 20th, from Pauper, Gush, Jataxian Probe, and Daze are banned. Yes. Yes.
This
Thank
was
you.
a long time coming. Alex Ullman and Kendra had been very vocal about this, among other people. I mean, the win rates were just obnoxious. 55%, top eights that are like 6 blue decks for consistently. This doesn't surprise me. Gush and Gataxi and Probe are either banned and restricted in just about every other format. Probe is banned in Modern, it's banned in Legacy, it's restricted in Vintage. Gush is obviously not Modern legal, banned in Legacy, restricted in Vintage. It doesn't surprise me that the power level of these cards would transcend even a format like Pauper. Like, these are scary cards, and it has opened up a lot of doors. I played Pauper with a friend the other day, just casually in the league, and we had a lot of fun. We played some Tron, we played some Burn. I really, really enjoyed the format, which I don't normally enjoy it. And so I'm really excited to see what this means for the format, because there were a lot of decks and Pauper was always kind of diverse. Like, that was one thing I really did enjoy about it, was that you did have some choices. I did not play Paupertron. I played against Paupertron. I would never. But yeah, I mean, the format is sweet. I do hope that the diversity improves, and yeah, it's nice.
Well, she would never sully her good name.
Genrova Horror is a bold card. Let me tell you, that card makes me stabby.
Mr. Beauregard, why she would never. Wizards, I don't know how to say this. What could you make Pauper a real format? Do you understand?
It's a weird dance. Yeah,
it is.
You can't sanction the format that you just banned cards from. Do you know how weird that is?
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense. Kendra was telling me about this weird, because Kendra works at Cool Stuff, and she was telling me about this weird situation where someone, like, you can play the cards. You can't play the cards on Magic Online anymore, but because the effective date is the 24th, you can still play with them now until Friday.
Yeah, because the ban was instant on Moto. Like, I logged in Monday and we did a Pauper league, and those cards were gone. So it was like that.
I was like, you're giving me this analysis and stuff, and I'm like, you haven't defined the format. Did you read that Goldfish article trying to even explain what's in Pauper? How people who showed up with Blue Elemental Blast and Red Elemental Blast, they couldn't swap it out for Power Blast or Hydro Blast, even though all of those things are common. But because Red Elemental Blast wasn't common on Moto, you can't use it in real life, which is weird, which makes no sense. So at the Pauper event, they had to make them just replace them with basic lands, even though, because it was a sanctioned event, but it wasn't a Pauper sanctioned event, because Pauper doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. There's a paper format. I don't get it. You're telling me that your R&D team spent hours and worked on, like, what's Pauper doing, what's good with it, what's wrong with it, and it's not even an official format, and you're freaking me out when that happens.
Yeah.
Just say what it is.
You're dating somebody, but you won't change your status on Facebook.
It's odd. It's just odd. I don't get it.
They did bring up some cards or decks in other formats, specifically Modern. They said that they are keeping their eye on the Neoform Allosaurus Rider combo. They're keeping an eye on Ugin's Conjurant plus Celestial Kieran and Karn, the Great Creator, and Mycosymphlatus. These are combos that have people worried in multiple formats. I also want to talk about something that was kind of neat in terms of new cards. Apparently, the new Planeswalkers are causing headaches for judges. I think this weekend there was an L3 that he gave out like 30 warnings for like the
GRVs. Yeah,
Narset's been a nightmare for people. Like, people are just not reading these cards. They're not having to remember of these static effects. They're not used to them. And I've seen several tweets from judges that are like, these cards nightmare.
Yeah.
Like something like a 250% increase in the number of PRVs given out. There's discussion of which are game rule violations for those of you playing along at home. That they might increase the number that you can have on a given day of an event from 2 to 3 because of all of these new planeswalkers that have static abilities. Specifically Narset interacting strangely with the extra cards ruling.
Like, it's not a matter. I don't think it's a matter of reading the card. I think it's a matter of applying the knowledge. Like, just the other day, I was doing something, and it was like someone
who among us has not simply just forgotten that a thing was on the board.
Or no, I don't think it's that. I think it's you don't think of how it affects you, because there are so many things in the game that just cause you to draw cards. Like, when we think of drawing cards, I think we think of like our first card, right? And then there's other things where, like, I think I had done something stupid where it was like, I think it was like a cathartic reunion or like and I was like, oh, whoops. And like, so many times you just walk into things where it's like, oh, right. And you don't really realize how much of your game involves drawing innocuous cards. And
Awesome. Well, moving on to Gamers Gonna Game, talking to Pauper. Kendra Smith has been pointing...
Hashtag blame Kendra.
Excuse me?
Hashtag blame Kendra.
Yes, hashtag blame Kendra. She, along with others, had noted that
This is fascinating.
there was some weird stuff going on in the Pauper leagues. Now, there's a
cheating ring.
right, there's a Pauper cheating ring essentially. There's competitive Pauper and there's friendly Pauper, and of course, competitive has
Now,
higher.
clarify for me: is this you call it a Pauper cheating ring?
Yeah,
Those are them's. Now, let me be very clear: them's fighting words.
They're gaming the system.
okay.
I agree.
Some amount of people are double queuing in order to
Yes.
gain prizes out of the event. That's the gist.
This is illegal. Yes, this is not allowed.
This is not allowed under the terms and conditions. No.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is a cheating scandal, and it is
You're
a
right.
ring of people. I mean, man, boy,
The amount that is happening, the amount of trophies being given away in these events versus the number of people who play in them is just disproportionate. Is off. Doesn't
And it
make
can have
sense.
some long-term ramifications, in the immediate future. It's trophies, it's chests, it's prize points. Okay, that's annoying. But think long-term, like you could win format points. You use those format points to qualify for the larger tournaments. And if you keep going down the chain, you could qualify for the Pro Tour, or you could qualify for a MOCS on the wrong foot, on this really shaky foot here. So basically, it's people who are, because there are so few people in the league. You can game it in such a way to where you can face a friend or you can face a second account, and then one of you immediately concedes. So if you check out Kendra's thread, you can go 5-0 and like engineer a 5-0. Like if you look at the decks that are 5-0ing, they are clearly not viable decks. They're basically draft chaff. And so that also skews the meta game. Like when you go on MTG Goldfish, you see deck lists that appear to be doing well, and it leads people to think that these decks are valid when they're not. So it has long-term ripple effects if this keeps going. And even Vintage has about the same number of players that the Pauper League does right now, and we don't even do this. But I've certainly fixed it so that I could play with friends because there's so few Vintage players, but I've never like scooped right away or anything. It's like, oh, my friend Brady's streaming. I'll just kind of watch a stream and jump in at the right time. But these are people that are doing it and then immediately scooping, and they're agreeing with their friends, like, okay, you go 0-5 this time, then I'll go 5-0. They're splitting the winnings, they're getting trophies, and if this goes on long enough, the metagame could be affected. They could qualify for larger events, and they're just essentially getting winnings from wizards that you don't deserve.
Allow me to explain it in the most basic terms, okay? I'm going to pay 12 tickets to enter, and so is my second account. So that's 24 tickets, okay? If I win that event, one goes 0-5, one goes 5-0. If you win that event, you get 16 treasure chests, which you can turn into 32 tickets. You take those tickets, you sell them to a vendor, you've made cash money. So you do that over and over and over and over again, and you have what we have currently. That's the problem.
Yeah. That is a big problem. Now, this was brought to light as a result of a published 5-0 deck list that was essentially two of a bunch of random mono white cards from recent sets. Things like Take Heart and Blade Instructor, and a bunch of cards that are super obvious.
Yeah.
Now, here's my question. If you were the mastermind of a criminal enterprise, right? If you were trying, right? Well, if you were trying to be the dawn of this organized crime syndicate that turns treasure chests into money, and wouldn't you hide your tracks a little better? Wouldn't you invest a little bit in your infrastructure of not just entering with a very clearly unable to 5-0 deck?
Well, here's the good part. Most criminals are idiots. Because most smart people don't want to cheat the system because they know how difficult it is to cheat the system in the first place.
Well, I mean, you're also doing it for a format. We just had the conversation where how much Wizards cares about the format is in question, where you're not seeing this in Standard, you're not seeing this in Modern, likely because the attendance is much better, but Pauper, they are in this weird place of like, we care about it, but we don't. And so if it happens in a Pauper League,
all right, so we got to move on.
I get it.
The point is, that's messed up, and that's a way to make free money, and it's wrong.
Yeah.
All right. So
especially right now when we're trying to get more people to play Pauper, and you want that fresh blood, and then the new decks to come in, and this is just a bad start, and attendance is still poor in Pauper.
Yep, it
no
sucks.
pun intended.
So either way, Moving on here to the Disorganized play and the Magic Pro League. This was the article that was posted by Saffron Olive a few days ago. This is the culmination of a lot of talking that we've done publicly on Twitter, that we've done privately in DMs, that we've talked about in Discords. It just lays it out where it's here's how we got here, here's what we were expecting, and here's how it completely went the other way, and we have no idea what's going on, and no one's saying anything, and God help us all. I'm putting a link here in the chat so you guys can check it out. We don't have a lot of time to go over it, but he kind of goes back. He's like, remember the Silver Showcase? You remember what a joke that was?
Yeah, it's a really great way to catch up on the situation if you're not really clear as to how the MPL got here, or what exactly is going on. You can read that article and get caught up very, very quickly. So it's a great comprehensive read. Yeah,
it's tough because, at least when you search for Magic Pro League and your top things are the new pro players prove to be controversial, and the Magic Pro League is a total mess right now, and the pro divisiveness towards the MPL is about money and lack of direction, and it's just...
There's no good press. There's no good PR coming out of this.
There's no good press because it feels like there's no leadership. And if there is leadership, again, Wizards, I want there to be. I want there to be this person or this thing that you can point to and say, this is the plan. This is what we're doing here. Because it kind of keeps going into other realms. Like, for example, Shaheen Soorani's What Competitive Magic Means to Me that he wrote over on Star City, which was basically this article that Saffron wrote, but just from the pro perspective, which is... all these years, the pro player dream, the pro club, the pro system, and how they integrated into it, and how you didn't have to spike everything in order to get rewarded. You could do very well and continue your rank in the
It's
system.
Also interesting to see what battles Wizards chooses to fight. So there was a kerfuffle last week because somebody had altered a thread on a Magic wiki to say that there was homophobia in Magic, that Ral and Tomic couldn't be together because Ravnikins weren't supportive of that sort of thing. And within hours, Allison and Doug had hopped on Twitter and made official statements. They were like, oh no, we just want to go on the record and say that homophobia doesn't exist on Ravnica. Yeah. So you will address that in record time, but yet you have this huge elephant in the room that has gone weeks with no addressing.
The
disconnect.
One is a lot easier to address than the other.
But you're still showing that you have the ability, that somebody has the ability to jump in front of these trains, but yet you've still got a big locomotive coming for you.
Okay, so funny story, the Portal app. All right, moving on.
The what?
Exactly. That's the story.
Yeah, the Portal app.
Just to put a bow on this in particular, the problems that you are making, Wizards, the problems you're making for yourself right now are not going to come to fruition immediately. You're not going to see this giant drop-off thing. You're just going to see a slow, gradual, people just stop caring about moving up into any ranks.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they want. Maybe they want that and they just don't want to say it. I'm not sure.
There is a strange dichotomy that I think Magic was hoping to hook into that I'm not sure they did, which is at a certain point, you go from being an aspirational league to a entertainment league when you're a sport of any kind. This happened to golf in the 40s. It happened to the UFC in the early 2000s, where instead of the dream being you can follow these paths and learn from these people to these people are professionals, you can try to follow the dreams, but also buy our products, right? So the golf, for example, the PGA went from going around the country teaching people how to play golf to going around the country with advertisers of watch these professional golfers and buy their products. Right. The UFC did something very similar. And then I think Magic is trying to do something like that here, where they're going from, this is the path from your first F&M to world champion. It's going to be tough, but there is a path here.
Right.
And now they've transferred it to entertainment as the priority. We've had many discussions on this show over the 4 years of our show, or however long we've been on the air, of is the tournament a show or is the show a tournament? What's taking precedence? And it seems like they're making a decision But they're doing it in a way that is really turning off everyone for slightly different reasons. So it's a lot of growing pains, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know the PTQ grinder that I was in the mid 2000s would be unbelievably saddened by all of this and would be disheartened to the point where I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing this for? I think Wizards doesn't, look, we're in Ravnica. I just want to point that out. We're in Ravnica. Ravnica's awesome. Ravnica's always awesome. Ravnica sells. Ravnica's always sold. Even when Dragon's Maze was crap, it wasn't that bad because we were in Ravnica, and they can forgive because it's Ravnica. When we're not here and your pro system is a weird amalgam of what it is now, and there's no way for me to know at home if I could ever be world champion by doing a specific series of steps, that's going to be a problem when we're in the Kaladeshes and it gets awkward, when we're in the Eldritch Moons and Emrakul or whatever takes over again. You're going to have a system that doesn't have a lot of people wanting to play competitively. And is there enough casual to get you through? I guess we'll find out. Let's see here. We don't have time for a whole bunch, but I do want to talk about D&D Live, the Broken Pack. Ruben, how'd it went?
Hey, it went great. D&D announced their most recent product this weekend, which is going to be the Descent into Avernus, which is Wizards of the Coast and Dungeons & Dragons' first time going off of the prime material plane and visiting one of the outer realms. Dungeons & Dragons is going to hell, everybody. So if you like demons and devils, they've been hinting at something called the Blood War, which is the war between demons and devils. That the angels got involved in, and it's a really fun time. So if you've ever played any of the Baldur's Gate games, Baldur's Gate features heavily in the adventure as well. The Broken Pact was there. Myself, Ashlyn Rose, Gaurav Gulati, Jordan Pridgeon, and Riley Silverman did a live show. I posted a link in the Discord. I guess I can post a link in here as well.
Sure.
I guess I can promote myself.
Well, I'm talking. I don't want to do multiple things all at the same time. But we had a great time. I took the party to Innistrad for 2 hours. Nice. They ran into some hags who sent them on an adventure to unlock a familiar face from a piece of masonry in Innistrad, which had not been established in canon yet. And so yeah, we had a ton of fun, and so please go check that out. More news on the Broken Pact as it becomes apparent. We're working on how we're going to go through with season 3 and beyond. And of course, I might have more things to say about Dungeons and Dragons to you two at some point in the very near future as well.
We might be working on a little thing. We're getting closer and closer. We're developing stuff. I got that stuff underway just today.
Like Dungeons and Dragons and Magic Mics, y'all are gonna like those.
Yes,
it should be really sweet. One last thing I want to touch on. I touched on last week. Don't let anybody between you and your money. And
this was incredibly timely.
The Tfue Sue's FaZe clan, where Tfue is one of just literally blew up in like a year, from 0 to 1,000,000 miles an hour, and is suing his talent agency or the
well, that's the problem.
Esports.
So Tfue is the third most popular streamer right now between Ninja and a young man named Shroud. And evidently he was picked up very early by a team called the FaZe Clan, which is not unusual for streamers and YouTubes to sort of be taken on by these groups. They put them in a house, they promote them, they encourage them to do YouTube videos. And the streamer Tfue is now saying that they have siphoned over $500,000 worth of money from him, or 80, I'm sorry, they've siphoned 80% of his earnings, I believe. And so he's basically saying that they've taken, he's saying the lawsuit alleges that they've retained up to 80% of his earnings from advertisements, and that it prevented him from signing valuable deals. So they would only let him take deals that they negotiated so they could get the profit from it. He said that he was forced to partake in dangerous YouTube videos while he was living in their house. And this is not uncommon, unfortunately. The world of sort of esports and influencers is very, very new. And there are a lot of people out there that want to take advantage of that. This is an emerging industry. We saw it with the MPL when Jerry mentioned that these guys are basically told there's no negotiations. Like, you're signing this or you don't get one. And so you have these guys out there that may not have ever really dealt with contracts or never really understood business before. The ride is so fast where it's like you're getting millions of views, opportunities are coming at you. You need somebody to help you do all of that. And so these people swoop in and say they've got your best interests at heart. And then before you know it, they're taking all of your money. You're existing at their whim, basically. They're not even legitimate talent agencies. Like in California, I guess that's not allowed. And so it's really, undiscovered territory. And a lot of other YouTubers commented to say that they also had kind of fallen victim to this. And so, these guys and girls deserve to be paid what they're worth. And they just need good people around them to keep them grounded and make sure that you're okay. So I think a lot of eyes are going to be on this story. And this is going to be a really groundbreaking case.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, FaZe Clan issued a statement, said that they have only made $60,000 total off its partnership. They took $0 of the tournament winnings, Twitch revenue, YouTube revenue, or $0 from any social platform.
They basically blamed him. They were like, well, he had an opportunity to negotiate and he didn't. You want a 21-year-old kid to negotiate a contract? Like,
this is another, and I've touched on this when we've talked about this whenever esports contracts come up, which is when you're drafted into the National Football League or Major League Baseball or any professional league anywhere, you go to basically life coaching training. Mm-hmm. You go to a week or two where business professionals, agents of agents, people who teach you how to do everything from your own laundry to how to handle your money, because you just went from a senior in college getting paid literal zero
to $50,000 an hour. Yeah.
So yeah, exactly, $50,000 an hour for, as we saw in another link about these gamers, and you don't get that when you're a Twitch streamer. You don't get that training, and so these kids are getting taken advantage of. Yeah. Now we're saying kids, but they're over the age of 18, so they are technically adults.
Yeah, they're still kids.
And either, so there's no there's nothing protecting them, even
right.
Protecting them in the immediate sense, but there's also nothing protecting them in the larger sense.
Exactly.
The law and technology are woefully behind each other. So
Absolutely.
Not only is nobody looking out for them as a person, but there's no.
Yeah.
The law isn't.
The law is always behind the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Add to the fact that we're in the middle of a mass extinction event on planet Earth and everything is going to hell. But
something darkest timeline. It's fine.
If we're gonna have professional esports digital athlete as your job title, perhaps we should have some laws surrounding how to do best business practices.
Oh man, we're fairly far away from that, unfortunately. But the best I can do is just
not from the mass extinction event.
Well, we're in the middle of that. We did that because the Earth's
ending on a high note. We were all gonna die.
Yep.
We got 135 more months, folks.
The Earth's on fire. GG. Okay, let's go ahead and pick a winner to our raffle.
Oh,
that would be F3 Cubed. Please.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Please ship a whisper over Aaron Campbell's way if she hasn't blocked you already. She might have blocked you.
It's very possible.
It's possible. The best ways, of course, to contact, you can contact through the Patreon itself if you're a patron, or you can contact through the Facebook, the Reddit.
Twitch right now?
Right now.
Twitch right now. Right this second. Please.
Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to be doing my Patreon stream this weekend, probably Saturday night, maybe Sunday. It's Memorial Day weekend. So come hang out with me. I haven't decided what we're playing. I'm finally going to give away some of these Magic Mike's playmats that I got hanging around.
Nice.
I got some of these amazing Aaron Campbell zombie tokens laying around. So I'm going to have some goodies for you all, and it'll be a good time.
Absolutely. Let's go over here, and as we turn the corner to the finisher, do our thanks to all of our wonderful subs and bit givers. Then I'm going to also include a few days ago, because I know last week some people were like, well, hey, my sub kind of happened 3 days ago. And so make sure we catch those. A couple days ago, L Bostrom 79 subbed, which appreciated. 3 days ago, Argent Griever had their Twitch baby. They had 9 months, which is awesome. Jabin 217 subbed. Be Cool 1234 did as well. About an hour ago, started the subs for this one. Tim's War sub for 12 months. Get hyped for Commander Horizons, they say. Ooh. That's a whole year, though. And that means you get the super cool badge. You get the gold badge.
It's a year for me to get excited about Modern Horizons. So.
Oh, that's crazy. Sexy Soy resub for 8 months. Thank you so much. 1 month away from the baby. Yeah. Chessius has resub via Prime. Those Bezos bucks for 4 months. Thanks a lot. MTG Pack Foils resub for 8 months in a row. This sub baby is on the Modern Horizon, they say. which is pretty good.
B-.
Michael Org resub for 2 months in a row. Hey, that's a big one. Thank you very much for coming back to the channel.
That's right.
Absolutely appreciate it. But on Sadistic resub for 9 months. That baby Mike is born.
So many babies.
Maybe we should get a baby Mike like a little, emoji.
Oh my god,
like
I love
baby.
with a little, with like a little diper on it, like with kind of cool.
Or just like a rattle that has the mic on the end of it.
I mean, it makes sense. I love babies. You like making babies. Ruben's effectively a baby. I mean, it all works out.
True.
Oh my god. All right, let's see here. MTG Effect resub for 9 months. Thank you so much with your prime, baby. Let's see it. Miss Thur, Misthir resub for 2 months. Again, that's a big one. Thanks a lot. Survival Guide /S resub for 2 months. Said keep up the great content. Yeah. Let's see here. Be Cool 1234 resub for 8 months in a row. 8 mana Craterhoof Behemoth, they say. Let's see here. Martin Casa, not the caca. Resub for 13 months in a row.
That way every time, then
I love it. It cracks me up. It cracks me up. I love it.
I love it because I leaned into it so hard one time, and I feel so bad.
Mr. Caca, if you're nasty.
Yes, caca.
My Kickstarter tater isn't feeling so good, Mr. Stark, he says.
Yeah, I bet those Kickstarter taters are starting to wilt and sprout and get a little gross. We didn't think those all the way through, I don't think. But hopefully they brought you joy before you planted them in your backyard.
And lastly, Spin-12 subscribed during the show. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, everybody.
And Ruben, if you want to tell us through the bits.
Sure, yeah. So this past weekend, as I mentioned, I was at D&D Live, and I embodied a woman who lived in the hut in the woods, who is featured on a couple of flavor texts named Old Rootstein. So I think I'll do the flavor texts in my old lady voice. To get Celia, give us 10 bits. Foil King, 69 bits. Oh, that's very nice. House of Shadow, 69 bits. Oh, you're also very nice. How nice of you. James MTG, guess how many bits?
69.
69. That's also very nice. 3 of them. There's a three-way of 69.
Wow.
Sexy Soy, 200 bits.
Family show.
Meal Cows, 300 bits. Well, when you're in Granny's hut, everything's a family show. Just make sure you wash your mouth out with soap after you give the 69 bits.
Oh my god.
Meal Cows, 300, as I mentioned. Thunder Voice 1, 369 bits.
Got there.
Also a 3-way with 69.
Oh my god.
And Jacob is Rad, giving us 500 bits. Thank you all so much for all of those bits and for visiting Old Roots.
Oh, Ruben. Well, via tweet, Channel Fireball had their Amazon listing somehow tagged, unfortunately.
That's hilarious.
Last Friday, Channel Fireball let the people know that some of their sales had been erroneously flagged by Amazon. Quote, we previously contacted you regarding a new online training requirement to continue to offer pesticide products. You are offering or have previously offered products that are affected, including Giant Spider, Netcaster Spider, Pallid Mycoderm, Root Greevil, Rootkin Ally, Spitting Slug, and Spreading Algae. Right. Well, clearly there's been something lost in translation here, but this does allow for some, shall we say, creep. So what warnings would you like added to your future Amazon orders, Ruben?
Attention seller! Your account has been flagged by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. You are offering products that are affected, including, but not limited to, Engineered Explosives, Magma Mine, Goblin Bomb, and Urza's Ruinous Blast. Please keep your hands on the keyboard, and the ATF will be arriving shortly.
Aaron?
All right, since we're doing the voice thing. This is an automated warning from the Eternal Revenue Service. You've been audited for your history of ordering Allosaurus Riders, Goryo's Vengeances, Marath, Will of the Wild, and Dinrobe Horror. Please cull together your most recent 24 months of deck lists as we try to investigate. Why are you like this? Why?
Hashtag why you like this?
Why are you like this?
Why are you like this?
Why?
Well, look, your account has been flagged for first picking combat tricks, forcing combo archetypes, and playing 41 cards in limited. This is, of course, in blatant disregard to the Bureau of Limited Resources. Please expect a visit post-haste from the United States Marshals Service.
Yep.
Send him to my place when you're
He's
done.
just gonna show up at your house.
And we're like,
Very
hey,
upset with you.
hey, Marshall, you wanna draft? Are you hungry? You wanna come in? Okay. That ends another live episode of Magic Mics. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you for complying.
God, you're so loud, dude. Loud. Go to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, my co-hosts, Aaron Campbell and Ruben Bressler, you guys for watching or listening, and hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMics. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that helps people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, Twitch.tv at Magic Mics, on Twitter at Magic Mics Cast, our Magic Mics subreddit, and like the Magic Mics page on Facebook. Talk to us privately at MagicMicspodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at MagicMicspodcast.libsyn.com, or find us on iTunes, or join us here next week, where you'll have so many coughs. They're free. They're
Everybody,
free.
wait till after the show to die, please. That's really inconsiderate.
I'll try my best. My
Thanks.
apologies.
Oh my God. Join us. You good? Join us here next week. Same time, same place for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.